Hi, I'm Ken Jr. and welcome to TrainWorld TV. Here you'll find the latest and greatest in model trains. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to our channel, we're glad you're here, and I invite you to click the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a video. Now, we'd also love to send you exclusive deals and special announcements that you won't find anywhere else. So be sure to sign up for our emails, TW Text, and stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Now, you can find all the links in the description box below or trainworld.com. And without further ado, enjoy today's video. All right, and good evening, everyone. And we have a very special Broadway Limited live tonight, as well as our regular Tony Cook from Model Train Resource, News, everything. So how you doing, Tony? I can't keep up with all these acronyms.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Very cool. And Curtis, is this your first time on with us?
Yeah, my first time on.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah, Ken must be passing down the torch to some new blood.
I like to think that. I know he's got family in town. I think he's actually going to Disney tomorrow for the Halloween party thing that they have. He's dressing up as Fred Flintstone, so he's enjoying some.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, he's going to be having some fun with the grandkids, and he's just been enjoying life down here.
I can see that as well. Very good. Very good. I hope Ken put in a good word for us. We don't bite.
Well, of course he did.
And but we do miss him. But we're happy to experience this with you for the first time. And Broadway Limited has so many new announcements. I can't keep up. Tony can't keep up. Well, we know Tony can keep up, but he's been bombarded. But it's a lot of new product, a lot of new announcements, and a lot of good stuff to cover, Curtis. HO and Scale all around, just a ton of things to go over.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of new stuff, some unique stuff that we're going to get into later on in the show. Just a ton of different products that are coming out. I know we're going to be talking about the HO Scale SD70 Ace. That's an all new diecast diesel. We've got some projects coming out a lot in the month of September, basically all the way through the rest of the calendar year. But we've got more announcements. I think we've got maybe 3 or 4 more announcements between now and the end of October, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got more stuff coming. One for N scalers in the next couple of weeks. I'll tease that, but cool. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
I bet you Tony has the inside scoop. He doesn't want to tell me anything anymore.
Actually, I need to get with Curtis. I owe him an email. I've been busy, but so no, I don't have the inside on. But Curtis, the reason I wanted to have this show was that diecast metal SD70 Ace that you're bringing out in HO. I said to Ken, I said, we got to get them on and talk about this. I said, I'm getting all these emails. Like, is it, I can't believe this. And what's it going to be like? And a metal diesel, it's probably going to be able to pull nails out of the wall. I mean, what's, and then there's the questions because you guys have your brass hybrid runs for like the steam locomotives. I had people asking, well, is it metal? Is it brass? I said, it can't be brass at that price. I said, it's going to be metal. I said, I don't know. I have a lot of questions too. And then I know you brought out, you've got pictures that you're going to show. Here we go. Yeah. And this is it, road specific details. You see the lighter stuff there.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's kind of walk us. I mean, this is something new
Yeah.
really
So
for the market. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so this diesel has basically no plastic parts. This isn't anything like our brass hybrid where there are some mixture of some plastic parts where we see fit. But this is going to be all metal, metal handrails, metal die-cast body, metal die-cast chassis. Of course, obviously the metal wheels. And every detail on that you see on these photos here of the UP4141 sample is all die-cast metal.
Wow.
Some of it might be a brass, thing at some point or another. But every aspect of it is metal. It is not brass, like it's not a brass hybrid locomotive. This is something that's completely different that we're doing, that we're trying to gauge some interest in. But as you said, road specific details on multiple variations and road specific details, and I should say individual unit specific details. We've got the multiple Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Heritage units on these engines. We've got CSX, we've got CN, BNSF, a lot of different variations of these locomotives that we think our modelers are going to find interesting. And yes, the big selling point is that it is expected to pull. We don't know how much. We'll have to see what happens when the first couple samples come in. But we kind of estimate the model to be between 2 to 3 pounds for the locomotive. We're just estimating. We haven't gotten any production samples in or anything else like that yet. So we're trying to see what people gauge. And I know that we've got a lot of great work behind the scenes of trying to get everything accurate from the sounds. Obviously, you guys are looking at the details with the photos here. We're going all out on these, to say the least.
I mean, it's so incredible. You say 2 to 3 pounds. When you think about it, a good version of because there's a lot of Aces out there. I mean, anything around a pound for a plastic model is doing well. So this is, I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, and that it's all road specific, because that was one of the other things I had people saying, well, if they're doing this, I bet it's going to be a generic, or they're just making one. And then these pictures, the illustrations came out a couple days later. I remember sending that to the one reader that asked. I said, no, look at this, look at the breakout on the different details. This will be just like what they're doing with HO plastic.
Yeah, and the other thing too about these, some people like their diesels. We've got a lot of people that like their diesels with smoke. So you could see on the CSX version there, you'll see at the top right in front of the horn that Paragon 4 versions will have smoke. If you want to, there's going to be stealth versions of these also. So you'll be able to get that stealth version. It won't have the smoke and obviously no sounds, because it'll be a soundless engine. But the speakers will be included, so you can add whatever aftermarket decoder you want into the locomotive. And when you put it back on the track, it'll work with the sounds right from the get-go. The only thing is you won't get some specific lighting details. We do have a list of individual lighting settings and stuff on our website. If customers want to go look at what they can control, there's Pro Mode and all that different stuff too. So there's a lot of different features that these models offer. I'm sure you can go on TrainWorld TV and on the website for you guys here at TrainWorld, or on our website too, and you can get the full list of features and everything.
Now, Curtis, like behind the process of things, obviously there's many SD70 Aces. Why go about it this way with full diecast? What was like the reasoning, or was there a specific reason you guys had, or just wanted to create the biggest, baddest, heaviest SD70 Ace that there is on the market? Because there are a lot of different options out there, but this is totally unique, and will definitely set the bar for the X number of years, going forward. But was there like a reasoning behind this, or was it more for electronics or future customization, or the possibilities could be endless going forward?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of everything. One thing that we've had problems with when we had Paragon 3 diesels that smoked is that we found that the smoke unit would melt the shell. So this immediately prevents that. That's not the sole reason, obviously, but we've heard from customers that they love our diesels, but they wish that they could pull a little bit more. And we had the same response with our steam locomotives when we had those in previous years too. And when we made that switch to making them into diecast, the difference that having a diecast steamer makes in pulling power is immense. And we're thinking maybe we might get the same thing with the diesels too. So this was just a random kind of draw of the hat sort of thing to see, do we go with this as our first diecast one? And we know that there's a lot of people out there who like to model the modern day era of railroading with GVOs and, Aces and, everything like that. So we figured, let's give this a try. It's something that obviously we haven't done. We are hoping that customers are going to be really intrigued and will hopefully pick one up and decide that they want to test it for themselves. I'm sure, like I said, as we get more samples come in, we'll maybe make some videos showing off the pulling power. But I would say the big reason is that, one, we wanted to make sure that it can smoke well without having any returns of a melted shell. But also, two, we wanted to make sure that our diesels could have sustainability pulling power. And we've seen the results of added weight onto a steam engine gives them that extra pulling power. So we're trying it out here on our diesels. And if it gets received well, then we might do it on future projects, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
And, and the neat thing about it, what hit me too, when I saw that it was die cast and everything, is I immediately, again, looked at the prices on them thinking, wow, I bet it's going to be really expensive. It's really not much different than what you're doing in plastic. I think the difference is like maybe $100.
Yeah,
retail.
Sounds about right. Yeah. The other thing about these two, with it being a brand new thing, we didn't want to overprice customers out of potentially having the opportunity to purchase one of these. And if we did it in brass, it obviously would be probably much more expensive for the customer. So we made, again, this decision to go with a die cast one. Is it a unique thing? Yes. Is it, maybe a little bit more on the higher side compared to some plastic variations of this locomotive out there? Yes, but we think that these will stand out with their pulling power, with the details that we're seeing on our screen here. And we think that these have the potential to be one of the top of the line diesels out there on the market.
Yeah. And Curtis, so speaking to a lot of like European manufacturers years ago and currently, a lot of what they prefer is more die cast in Europe, and that kind of is really like the bar, and it allows them to do more with the engines, and really like you said, the obvious features, pulling power, and also other, I guess, features that you could maybe add in later on and everything. So it seems like you're really the first to do this in America on a high level production, which I definitely commend you. And I think it's going to really turn out well. Everybody screams about they want more details, they want more features, they want it really specific. And it seems like you're trying to, get everything all in one. And, quite honestly, that price, like Tony said, it's not too far off compared to a regular modern diesel.
No, it's not. And the other thing, too, about some of the European die-cast diesels, and we haven't gotten to this point yet in our process of determining if this will have it or not, but some of those European diesels actually have traction tires on their locomotives, which adds even more pulling power. We haven't come to that decision yet on our end if we're going to add any sort of traction tires onto this. We don't even know quite where we would begin with that yet, to be honest with you. But it is definitely new. It's definitely unique. It's something that hasn't been done here in the States when it comes to model railroading yet, but it's something that a lot of people that I'm sure you guys have obviously gotten the questions about, we're getting questions about as well. A lot of people are just intrigued to hear a die cast diesel. I think people have gotten so used to seeing the plastic side of the hobby. And I think with how popular a lot of plastic models are out there now, I think this is just an example of something that we're trying to be innovative on and try to get ahead of the curve on a little bit and see how our customers react to it, and overall just get a better feel as to, could this work in a diesel and could it be successful in a diesel? And like I said earlier, if it does, I think we could see more potential of that coming down the road in the future.
It's so intriguing, and as you say, innovative, and it is just so different that, again, I think a couple of the emails I got literally like, do they really mean die cast? They mean it's got like die cast parts, right? But it's a plastic. I said, no. I think this is a real live all metal diesel. I mean, again, it's so different for, hobbyists that it was like, what are they talking about? And it's like, yeah, it is going to be a metal diesel. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, on the dealer side, we just get these packets in, and we see SD70 Ace, so we think it's the normal thing, or it's a regular thing. And I didn't even realize, and I just thought the price increase was just a regular price increase, with everything going on. And I think it was actually Tony who mentioned like it's old diecast. And I was like, you know what? Wow, interesting. Okay, so then we clarified the reasoning, and it was very interesting. And Curtis, we do have some questions. Now this is an HO scale. Justin was asking what scale it is. Is it something possible for N scale, or is N scale for like something diecast out of the question?
No, I think it's definitely possible. We've done diecast seamers in N scale before in the past, the Y6B being one of our most recent variants of that. This is an HO scale. If it does well, we could see it going into N scale. We do have a run of SD70 Aces in N scale that are coming up with an order deadline next week of September 7th. Those will not be diecast. Those will be a plastic.
Right.
But going forward, it's definitely an option to do it into N scale. But with this being, HO scale being the more popular of the two scales that we offer, like I said, we want to kind of gauge the interest of the customer and see how it does and see what the feedback is and everything else like that. And if it does well and the positive feedback is there, definitely an option for N scale.
Very neat.
What a neat group. What's the deadline? This first group's got Norfolk Southern Heritage. We're looking right now. That will be that Air Force One painted George Bush 4141. There's a lot of special paints in here, as well as some regular flavors of BNSF and UP. What's the deadline on these? Have we passed it yet, or is it getting close?
The order deadline is coming up next month, I believe, or maybe in October. I got to double check on that. But these should be in by the summer of 2024. That's what we're gauging it out. It's still in the tooling design process. The images that we've been showing on the stream tonight are what we call call out images, showing the different details and that sort of thing. But we do anticipate these to be, like I said, arriving in the summer of 2024, pending no delays and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're just super excited to see how these come out.
And you've got an unbelievable group of stuff rolling the last half of this year. We still have, I think I was looking at the list today, the Jeep 30s and the Jeep 35s.
Yeah, the Jeep 35s are going to enter production this week, and they'll be arriving next month.
And I think, Ken, we got a picture of, Curtis sent us the C&O GP35. That'll be the first run of that in HO scale. I think we've got a couple shots of it.
Yeah, let me show that.
Yeah, those are going to be coming in very soon too. The Layout Lightning Storm is another popular add-on. Those will be coming out next month as well, September. Basically now until the end of the year, we've got a lot of projects. People can go on our website and see the delivery schedule and see what we've got coming out. But yeah, there's the C&O sample there of the GP35. That was one of the first painted samples that we've had come in. We've got BNSF variants, Santa Fe variants, undecorated ones, I should say, in the office, but that was our first painted one. And we're still making a few tweaks to that before they head into production. I think tomorrow is when they are starting to be made, but we've got all that stuff squared away now and ready to go.
I mean, this onslaught of EMDs and all these classic EMDs has just been awesome to see. Before we went on tonight, I was telling Curtis that the October Model Row News cover is the Canadian National SD40 and the Southern Pacific SD45. And of course, this all started with the GP20 release of about a year and a half ago. Now this 35, the 30, I can't wait because Ken Jr.'s got the Black Bonnet Santa Fe, which I ordered the minute he announced it. And I'm eager to see that's coming out.
And those are sharp too. The Black Bonnet scheme is so cool.
That is awesome.
We haven't seen any painted samples coming yet, but yeah, there they are. Those are going to be so well sought after, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I always wondered what if Santa Fe did that, being a Santa Fe guy myself. And I just think that looks so sharp. I can't help it. It just looks really cool.
A GP30 just looks so mean in general with the way it's shaped, big, bold, and then tapers back. So yeah, I think it's going to be really unique. And Tony, I'm not sure if you noticed, Broadway and us kind of worked on I
was going to say, whoa, what is this? Yeah, I was going to say I don't have this on order yet.
Yeah. So
wait a minute, I haven't even seen this yet.
And this will be in the new diecast tooling that Broadway Limited has out. So it's going to be really unique and just a sleek design. And Broadway is always great to work with on some of these custom exclusives that we've been teaming up with them. And I think this will be something really neat. We just announced it this past maybe 2-3 days ago, and the orders have just been tremendous. So quite honestly, I don't even know if we're set at a MOQ or if we could raise it. But if you're interested, definitely get your order in now. Otherwise, the Broadway team will have to bop me over the head.
Wow, that's all. I don't know how I missed that. Did you send that out in an e-blast yet? You know, I get the texts and everything. I saw the Labor Day sale text, but how did I have not seen this yet?
It was right above your logo and imaging on our live stream, so you must have missed it.
I don't know how I missed it.
I just love the details.
I just love the details of this paint scheme in particular, with the painted on rivets on the fuel tender. You got the little details above the rear steps there on the back, the rear radiators, I should say. And of course, it just looks mean with those that mouth, that jaw line right at the front of it.
Yeah,
definitely something really cool.
And I think for being the diecast model, it's really I think gonna take shape and form and really like you said, all the rivets and everything. So we're excited about this one with you guys.
That is very cool. Very cool. And speaking of diecast, I know you got a bunch of steam. You talked about the Y6B. We've got a big review of that coming up. That's in scale in Model Railroad News. But I know, is it the Chessie Steam Special? I know there's a big bunch of, as always, your beautiful steam locomotives just keep rolling.
Yeah, the Reading T1, there they are. We just are gonna, that's another first painted production sample that we got, and that was going to be at the NMRA show until I got sick and couldn't go. That was literally in my suitcase. But anyways, regardless, that's our first painted production sample of the Reading T1. Those have smoke, and of course we've got accurate sounds and everything for it. So those will be another offering of N-scale steamers with smoke. So that'll be hopefully shipping out later on this year, I think around, we're aiming for hopefully December, late November, early December is kind of when we're aiming for those to hopefully be into stores. But those are just gorgeous N-scale models. And I know a lot of people are anticipating that to come in. It's been pushed back a few times, but those are just gorgeous N-scale steamers. And I know a lot of N-scalers love the smoke with the big boy. So I know they'll be happy to hear that smoke will be coming to their Reading T1s too.
That's nice.
And you know what's amazing, Curtis? So you guys were like the first ones to do, smoke in N-scale, which is totally innovative, exciting. People went crazy for it. The big boy was a huge seller. On these future runs, a lot of people don't even know that they smoke now, because it's like it's so crazy to think, and so it's hard to know what's coming out with smoke. So that's why these shows are so informative and great. I didn't even realize they had smoke, so it's pretty cool. Actually, in the pictures now, you got to add a star logo as smoke as a feature. Just so you get my attention.
I can't believe that's in scale. When you first, I'm looking at it, and it's like, oh, when you said it's in scale, I'm like, no, it isn't. And then I looked again at like the coupler in the truck. Oh yeah, it is in scale. I mean, it really looks fantastic.
Yeah, and people ask us, why don't we try to add more smoke into N scale? When you have the space in the boiler, because N scale is so small, when you have the little smoke unit that we do and try to put it into an N scale steamer, like maybe a Mikado or the Pacifics that we've released, those are just so tight to fit into the boiler with all the electronics and stuff. Bigger steam engines like this, you can add that in because there is a little bit more space and wiggle room. And like I said, like you were saying earlier, Ken, it's just people just loved, N-scalers just loved the smoke features in our big boys. And I know a lot of them are going to like the N-scale Reading T1s with smoke too. We're hoping to add more smoke into more N scale steamers and maybe even some diesels too if there's enough space for it. But that's the main seller for these, is that there's smoke in them, and a lot of people love that. And a lot of people have taken some great videos. I don't know if you guys have been scrolling on TikTok or anything like that, but there's a lot of people that have taken videos of these big boys that we've made with this smoke, and they just smoke constantly, almost sometimes better than our HO scale ones in some cases.
And
they just look so cool.
And for a first time run, we got very little back for any kind of returns on the smoke. You know, it's always a big chance doing the first time feature. You never know how it goes. And, you know, sometimes you try things, it doesn't work out. But these were amazing. People didn't really send them back for any kind of smoke issues or anything. So they were very well received. People were ecstatic of the smoke, and they were functioning. And, you know, and of course, if anything, you know, happens, which it really didn't on that run, the Broadway service team is so excellent and great. And I hear nothing but great things for your team. And they really do a great job taking care of the customers with any issues, if anything arises. So your team really does a great job supporting the customers after the sale. So kudos to you guys on that.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of us at Broadway are modelers, and we get it. You know, if something happens and, you know, your engine isn't working or a smoke unit failed, whatever it might be, we get it. And our guys down in the service department are top notch. They really go through the effort to make sure that if you send your model back to us and you need to get it fixed, it's in the utmost care first and foremost, but they make sure that they fix it. And if they notice something else, like there's a detail part missing, sometimes if you're nice to them, they'll go ahead and put a replacement part on or whatever. And they, you know, they package it really well, because some people, believe it or not, don't send us the models in the original box. They just wrap it in bubble wrap. And so when we go through that, we make sure that it's sent back to you in better shape than what it was when we got it. And of course, everything is fixed. So our guys are awesome down there. Bunch of nice guys that work their butts off, making sure that everything is up and working with your model.
Toenails included.
I was going to say,
exactly.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but yes, I heard that story and I've seen the pictures. Yeah. You know, the photos for the new Stealth line, the photos and the videos that you all have done for support of those is excellent. We've got Dave Abilese. It's got that wonderful Conrail Railroad reviews, the Conrail SD40 in our November Model Railroad News. And that I've got a reproduction of you've got color pictures and things explaining on putting the decoder into the stealth version of that SD40. And that's so helpful on that stuff, because you read that or see it, or it says like I can do this, but what I really need to do. And you guys have been there there's YouTube videos. I forget who did that. It wasn't you.
That's Joe Goddard.
Yes. Yeah. And did an excellent video showing here's how you put the decoder in, which, you know, some of that maybe goes without saying for somebody that's going to take on that project, but looking at it, it's one of those that answers a lot of questions that I hear of, like, well, what do you have to do, or how does this work, or what's already there. And I know like the 40s didn't get the speaker in, but that's going forward, that it'll even have the pre-wired speaker set up, which is nice.
Yeah, and if you need a speaker for your Stealth SD40, you can contact our guys in the service department, parts department. We've got extra speakers to send to you if you need that done. The other thing is we've not only done it for the HO scale models, the stealth ones, we did them from the N scale ones too. Joe, in one of our most recent YouTube videos, did an install of a sound decoder to one of our PRR T1s, the duplexes that just came out in stores about a month or so ago. So there's videos out there to do it for the N scale ones as well. Nice. We'll probably do it more for a diesel too, but it's pretty self-explanatory and simple. If you have your aftermarket decoder, whether it be sound or no sound, you just plug it in, you program it, it'll work right on the track when you put it back ready to go. We make it simple. We try to make it simple at least. Yeah.
And boy, the lighting features on some of these new, that like that CN SD40's got the 3 class lights above the number boards and things like that. So in that pro mode, and, you know, for the DCC versions, and if you put a decoder in, you got to remember all that. We do have that in part of the review explaining, make sure you look at the various features and get a decoder that lines up with the functions you're going to need for it. Because boy, you all, between ditch lights and the ground lights and other things, that they're just loaded with features.
Yeah, cab lights and other things like that. Yeah, we've got a lot of different stuff Joe made a video of that as well. He showed off how to access the Pro Motor and the different lighting features with our GP20. That's on our YouTube channel. So if you're looking for something to do with your GP20 or any of your diesels that you have that have those extra lighting features, you can reference Joe's video there, and it'll be more than happy to show you all the different details that you do, which CVs work for which thing, all that sort of stuff. It's all right there in that video for you on our YouTube channel.
Very neat. And Curtis, switching to some HO steam, this GS4 is so popular. The amount of orders coming in is crazy. And actually today, going through our orders and back orders, I was trying to get more. There's a lot of distributors. They don't have anymore. They're sold out. I have to stop taking pre-orders on a lot of these GS4s.
Yeah, and we are hoping that those come out later on this month. We had a little bit, when we get some of the samples coming, we do a thorough evaluation. Joe Goddard does a really in-depth evaluation of the model. He takes it apart, looks at everything. There was a little bit of a mechanical issue that we had addressed, and we sent it back to the factory to fix. So we're hoping, because we don't want people to receive a model that wobbles or derails or has pickup issues, whatever it might be. We don't want that to happen. Obviously, they're paying a premium price for this engine. It's a very popular engine, as you've said, Ken. We don't want people to get a model that isn't perfect out of the box, so to speak. So we're going through the efforts to make sure that it's right and it's done right and it's fixed right. So we're hoping that around November is when we can expect it to come in. That's subject to change, obviously, because we don't want to have any other setbacks. But that's what we're planning on it. But yeah, those GS4s look gorgeous. I posted a video of the sounds when we had one of our first samples come in, and people went crazy over the sounds of these Paragon 4 engines. And just the details on it alone, when you look at these compared to our Paragon 2 ones, when we did it the first time, night and day difference. We still get questions asking if we're putting in like the blue light, because that was one of the lights in the Paragon 2 one. No blue lights in these GS4s. It's going to be awesome. We've got the air horn on there, so you can use the air horn or the SP4449 whistle. You've got, of course, the chuffing sounds, the accurate bell. Everything on these GS4s from the ground up is brand new, totally redone, and those are going to be very popular. And we've got a fantasy scheme with you too, Ken. Those Western Pacific ones.
Yes,
I'm telling you, if you have a Broadway Limited California Zephyr set, you need that GS4 to lead it, because that is going to look sharp as heck, man.
That's so neat.
Broadway does a great job working with us, and this is going to be a exclusive that's totally different, unique. But any GS4 that they're coming out with, I mean, people just went crazy over this. I don't know why. It's just that the orders have been tremendous, and I'm not kidding you when I say I tried placing orders today with the distributors, and people were already sold out. And I will have to make a bunch of these numbers non-active because I can't get any more. So make sure you get your pre-orders in, because these GS4s are very hot. And
and I was gonna say that's why we have the order deadlines. So if a customer wants that Western Pacific GS4 or the 4449 or the American Freedom Train one, whichever one they want, they get their order in before the deadline. They're going to be guaranteed that. If you haven't ordered one in yet and you're looking to get one now after seeing this stream, you might not get the one you want because the order deadline passed a few months ago. So you got to hope, and if you see a model that you like on these, especially from us, you've got to get your pre-order in ASAP. I know you guys do a great job of handling all the pre-orders and the flow of that and everything like that. So can't stress enough to get your orders in before those deadlines to ensure that you get the ones you want. I have a buddy who ordered 6 of these GS4s.
Wow.
5 of them from you, Ken. So I know that he's got a lot on order. So
are you talking about Tony again?
No, that was not me. Yeah, that was not. I love those, but yeah, 5 would be beyond me even. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Well, if anybody needs an extra one, we could always cancel Tony's order. So don't worry.
There you
go. And I think we've got one more steam locomotive in HO to talk about, and appropriate for Broadway Limited. It's a Pensy, and man, what a brute! I mean, look at that. Yeah.
That's one of our, we talked about brass hybrids earlier. That's one of our brass hybrid, a line of steam engines. We actually had 2 of those samples at the NMRA show in Texas. I had reports being told to me that it was probably the most photographed steam locomotive that we had at our display at the NMRA show. But yeah, brass hybrid Q2s, those are absolute brutes and very robust, very good. Different paint schemes. We got a couple of fantasy paint schemes too. Those are anticipating to be around January. We had a little bit of a setback at the factory. Everything got pushed back a couple months. So we're hoping first quarter of 2024, January, February-ish is when we can expect those to come in. But those are absolutely gorgeous. I'm not a Pennsy fan by any means. I'm a Santa Fe guy, as I kind of mentioned earlier. But those are really cool. I can't get over just how beautiful they are. And we haven't done a pull test yet, but maybe we'll do a video of like having different bricks being pulled by it on a couple of flat cars or something like that we've done in the past. But yeah, those are gorgeous locomotives. We haven't had any setbacks from the tooling or anything. Those will be in production hopefully soon and to our customers early 2024.
It looks amazing. And, this is going back to that we opened with, that SD70. Now, this is brass, but still it's metal. And there's something, I mean, even though it's painted, like it could be chocolate underneath. If you're going to put paint on it, what does it matter? But there is a different look or something to, I mean, look at that, Ken. I mean, the detail in the one shot that you had up of the drivers and such. I can't wait to see what they do with the 70 Ace in metal. Because, again, and I don't really know how to, I mean, look at that. That it's, I mean, plastic's beautiful. I love plastic. I mean, there's nothing, better or different about all of it. But boy, there's something about some of these metal, replicas like this that, I don't know, there's just an intriguing thing. So that diesel especially really gets my attention to think, man, what's that going to be like? But boy, the Broadway's brass hybrid steam locomotives, as I've said in many reviews when I do them, it's crazy when you think about because this, if it was an all brass model, would probably be about 3 or 4 times the price. So, and they run great. They've got all of the modern electronics in them. I mean, this is probably one of the best values on the market for a high-end model in that, yeah, it's as beautiful as brass, runs as great as contemporary die-cast plastic models. I mean, wow. Yeah, this and the Pennsy prototypes they knock out like this are incredible.
Yeah, I would say this and the C&O K2 Mikado we released a few months ago are probably some of the most detailed steam locomotives that I've seen us make in a long time. And they're just gorgeous models. Every little ounce of detail that we can squeeze into it, we can. And I think both the K2 and the Q2 are just the latest examples of how far we've come in terms of our tooling for our steam locomotives. Again, these were ones that we made several years ago that were very popular, and they have all new brass tooling behind it, all new electronics inside of it. Just in general, the locomotive is just absolutely gorgeous. And we have more pictures of that on our social media. So if you want to see it on your phone or on Facebook, whatever you want to go on to, you can go ahead and look on them on there. But they're absolutely gorgeous models. And I can't wait for people to get them because especially Pennsy models, we know how dedicated they are. These are going to be definitely must-haves for any Pennsylvania Railroad modeler.
Very nice.
How very cool.
And we have so much to cover tonight. We got to go over new announcements that you just announced over this weekend. We also got to talk about some order deadlines this week, or just today order deadline. And before we go into that, we're going to do a raffle on a Broadway Limited hat. So
there we go.
Put in the chat hashtag BL Broadway Limited Curtis. And what's
I've never been a hashtag before. This is exciting.
That's great. And what's it called? So make sure you tag Broadway Limited, tag us, TrainWorld, hashtag BL Curtis, and we'll pick out a winner. Put the state you're from, and we'll try to pick out a nice raffle winner for these beautiful Broadway Limited hats.
Very
really
cool.
Nice,
awesome.
done, fitted. But so I guess for the deadlines today, you have HO Shays, SD45s, and N-scale cryo tank cars.
Yeah.
So make sure you get your pre-orders in these. Most notably, the one I'm most concerned about for people really having a hard time getting are these Shays. The pre-orders have been tremendous. People are going crazy over these. Not sure, Tony, if you're able to bring up a picture on one of these off the cuff, but they are just really gorgeous. And I don't think he ever done these this is new tooling on these Shays.
Yeah,
correct?
brand new tooling of these Class D Shays. Believe it or not, there was a lot of prototypical railroads that had it. The C&O, Norfolk and Western Maryland, to name a few, had these Class D Shays. And they're just gorgeous. We had a sample of it with a 3D printed body on the locomotive. These locomotives will be die cast, and the gears for the actual running gear of the locomotive itself too will be die cast, or will be metal, I should say, die cast metal. But yeah, those are just really unique locomotives, and just such a unique thing for us that we're, again, something that we talked about the SD70 Ace earlier, something new that we're trying. This is our kind of our steam version of that. We've never done a Shay like this before, so why not kind of jump into it, and especially with something that hasn't been done in HO scale in quite a while. And so these Class D Shays are going to be really, really cool. Unfortunately, there's none that currently are in preservation. So that's a little bit of a shame. But nonetheless, the Shays will have accurate Shay sounds. Joe Goddard went up to Cass Scenic and recorded some sounds of the Shays. So even though it won't be a typical Class D Shay, we did record sounds of the Shay. So the running gear, everything like that will be prototypically accurate for these locomotives. And like I said, something unique that we haven't done before, but these will be definitely hot when they release.
Yeah. And especially under the Broadway Limited quality of anything steam. I mean, these are articulate, just amazing engines. I could only imagine how well you're going to make them and how they're going to look. People are going to go crazy over these. So if you're thinking about it, get your pre-order in for sure. This is going to be a hot one. But as well for the N scalers, again, the cryo tanks as well, and the HO SD40-5. So those are going to be pre-orders due on that. And then
the SD45s, we have new paint schemes. So if you're looking to get a paint scheme that we didn't maybe include in the first run, we most likely have it in this run. So you can go check TrainWorld's website. You can check our website for that and get your order in. The cryogenic tank cars are so cool because of just how they carried such cold materials, liquid materials on the railroads. And we've got some really unique paint schemes, prototypical paint schemes on there as well that you can get your order in for your N scale layout, whether you're serving a different variety of tank industries on there. But yeah, there you go. There's a couple of the paint schemes that we've got for the SD45s and the Shays there, and then the tank cars there as well.
And Curtis is doing a great job with the marketing and the emails, and he's created this like Broadway flyer and updates, keeping people abreast of all the Broadway news. But all these are the SD45 choices and some great paint schemes. This bicentennial is actually pretty popular. A lot of people ordering that one. And for your N scalers, these cryo tanks are really nice.
Yeah, and they have a lot of interesting history behind them too. They've got just so many different varieties of paint schemes that you see there. We got the Liquid Air, the Lind, UTLX, a lot of different stuff. So if you're looking at a little color, some unique rolling stock to your N scale layout, these will definitely be for you.
These are all the Shays with the different, I mean, so many different paint schemes. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Southern Railway up there was the 4000. We've got a couple of logging ones there. Western Maryland, Norfolk, and Western. Several of them that you can see there. We got the as delivered version, which is the gray boiler, and then the in service one is the black boiler. If you go back up to the top of the photos, that you'll see the there you go, the 4000 and those two. The boiler color is different, so people might see that and they're like, it's the same thing. It's not. Some people don't catch that there's the as delivered version and the in service version. So whichever one you're looking to do, That's what you can pick and choose from. And each of those photos, if you click on the link to it or click on the photo, it'll take you to our website where you can learn more about it and see all the different features. So it'll take you right to that page there, and you can go ahead and find out more about the Shays. And it does that with the tank cars and the SD40-5s too. So if you wanted to learn more about it, you can go there and read all the bio stuff there too.
That's awesome. And hold on, let me get this this other newsletter about all the new announcements you got coming up. And this was just over this weekend. I think you announced it at the NMRA show.
Yeah, we announced it just before the NMRA show, but yeah, these were official out at the NMRA show too. The PRR M1As, the mountain type locomotives you see there, both the M1As and M1Bs. And of course, we got 2 fantasy schemes there for any of you N scalers who like the fantasy schemes. The Tuscan red ones have been very popular. I've been seeing people commenting about that on social media, about the Tuscan red on both, not only just that as an example, but the S2 turbine we released earlier this year. The Tuscan red was a popular fantasy scheme as well. But yeah, those are going to be, those are a rerun for us, but they'll be the permanent drawbar, the microtrains couplers, all of that stuff will be on that model, and it'll be perfect for you if you're a Penzi fan, if you need it for your fast freight duties or passenger duties, whatever you want to use it for, it's going to be for you. And then these have been heavily requested back, the AC6000s. We've got several different paint schemes of those. There you go. The BHP Iron Ore, the CSX, Southern Pacific. And of course, we've got Union Pacific. And then we got 2 more fantasy schemes there too. You got the Santa Fe one and the Support Our Troops one there too.
Very cool.
So the AC6000s are going to be another one that a lot of N scalers that have been looking for those for a while will want to get their hands on and have leading whatever freight train duties that they have on their layout.
And Curtis, the steam engine won't have smoke, correct?
The M1As won't have smoke.
Okay,
that is correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
On the 6000s, there's a couple. Can you scroll back up the pink and those 2? I had a couple people asking those. I said that's it's an Australian road, right? There at Roy
Correct.
Hill. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because the bubbles
Australia
people, that BHP people knew, but I had somebody saying, "Is that real or what is that?" I said, "No, I think that is." I said, "Yeah, I'll ask this week," but I said, "Yeah, that's I think Australian road."
Yeah, and the AC6000s when they went to Australia, I think they still hold the world record for the longest freight train, like revenue freight train served. It was like an iron ore train. I don't remember what the railroad was off the top of my head, but there is a world record that these locomotives played a part of. And obviously we can't recreate that. Well, maybe we could try, I guess, with some N scale ore cars. We could try to recreate it in some way, shape, or fashion. But yeah, those are definitely not only just prototypically strong pullers, but ours N scale ones are going to be strong pullers as well.
And that's pretty interesting. I didn't even know that they're from Australia, but I guess model train wise, Australia is a giant country with model railroad enthusiasts. I mean, we ship there tremendously. It's one of our largest international countries. So quite honestly, I didn't even know that. I think that we'll do very well. Very cool.
And we've gotten every Wednesday. I've been taking an effort to, when people send us videos or photos of their BLI models on their layouts or club layouts, I try to showcase it and kind of get people interacting with each other a little bit. And we've gotten, I think, maybe 4 or 5 different people from Australia who've sent us videos or photos of their stuff on their home layout. And some of them live in Australia but don't model Australian railroads. They model something United States related.
Oh, yeah.
And so they've got a lot of different varieties of stuff that they've got going on over there. But it's really cool.
I was so amazed at this. I was talking with Otto Vondrek yesterday. This is the new Railroad Model Craftsman, the September edition.
Yeah.
This guy's got a Pennsylvania layout. Ken, you got to look at this. You get a copy of this. This is a shelf layout that's only like 100 inches long, but when you see his photography and the pictures, it's amazing. And the guy's from Australia, never stepped foot in the U.S., and he's this Pennsy modeler. So yeah, these people down under must be big time modelers. Yeah, who knew? Yeah,
down under.
Down under. Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And then the last announcement was the ES44s again.
Yeah, new paint schemes. You can see some heritage units there. We also are doing the CSX Baltimore and Ohio heritage scheme in both HO and N scale. We also have the St. John's Express.
Never been
one.
done before.
Yeah, never been done before. We got the Rock Island one there from Iowa Interstate. We've got the St. John's Express, which is the Canadian Pacific, the Hapag-Lloyd shipping container one. Just right there. Yeah, so we've got a lot of different unique paint schemes of these locomotives that are coming to N scale. I know, especially with CSX seemingly announcing a new heritage unit like every 3 weeks, it seems like they've got a variety of stuff. So we're going to make more CSX heritage units in the future runs. But at the time we made the decision to make it, the B&O one was announced. So we threw that in there right away. And so we're excited to see how those N scalers react to and purchase their ES44s, especially because like you said, Ken, nobody has done the CSX ones yet, the heritage units.
And
so we're excited.
The ones that they announced thus far, I think this is the coolest paint scheme. It's just really sharp.
It works, really works with that fade in with the CSX. Yeah, the Enchantment Blue B&O really works. You know, scrolling down there, I think the other thing too, you guys are first with, isn't that Union Pacific? That's their modern, or the latest lettering style. I think that's the first for a model in HO or N.
And our AC 6000s, I think, too, have that same paint scheme, the new variants after they were rebuilt. But yeah, the ES44s, some of their newer ones have been repainted, and so we're getting the head start on that too with offering some of those newer paint schemes. And then we're looking at two of the cooler paint schemes of fantasy schemes there, the Burlington and the Northern Pacific. A lot of people loved the Northern Pacific ones. That I know that we've gotten a lot of reaction to people. And on our analytics department, we can see what people have been clicking on when they go ahead and see what paint schemes they're looking at. I think the Northern Pacific one had the most out of any ones that we've seen so far on our website, which is insane. So a lot of people are like those fantasy schemes, and we're excited to bring that to an ES44.
It's a nice take on those because they're freight locomotives, but both of those are essentially passenger schemes. The Lowy but boy, the Lowy two-tone green looks amazing on that ES44. It's like, wow, it looks like it ought to be. Yeah.
And it's funny you're saying that, because I was literally going to say the same thing, that the sales on these paint schemes have been through the roof. And it's so interesting, but not a lot of people make this paint scheme. So it's something different than, I don't know, when I see this paint scheme, I think of the old American Flyer.
The Alco PAs.
The PAs, and quite honestly, that American Flyer set is so rare and highly desired. But I always thought, it's American Flyer, but Northern Pacific, it's not a huge name that people really, I don't know, think that is popular. But everybody has been buying these Broadway units in that paint scheme. So I thought that was really neat that you guys did that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just cool to bring something unique to the hobby, because it is a hobby. People like to have fun with it. So if they want to get a Northern Pacific ES44, credit to them. Go after it. Maybe BNSF will make their own heritage units and decide to paint one of theirs in that. And then you're ahead of the curve on the BNSF ones.
Very neat.
And these ES44s are both HO and N, or N? What's the scale on these?
Yeah, so these are N scales right here, the N scale ones. But we are doing several of the paint schemes in both HO and N. So you can go ahead and check out TrainWorld's website and our website to see where they kind of correlate and whatnot. I know a lot of the heritage units, like the Iowa, well, let me backtrack since we're looking at the fantasy ones. The fantasy schemes are offered in both. The heritage units for sure are also offered in both HO and N. So the Hapag-Lloyd, the Wisconsin Central, BC Rail, all that stuff, B&O heritage unit from CSX, those will be available on both HO and N scale.
That was in the announcements 2 weeks before this one.
Yes.
It's crazy, Tony. I don't know how everybody keeps up anymore. I mean, it's bonkers. I think I could do Model Road News twice a month and still
fill 100 pages each time. I can't believe all the stuff that keeps rolling out. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely in what I would consider the golden age of model railroading of this hobby. with the details that are going into each model and the creativeness of modelers from across the country and globally, really, of how they're getting creative with their layouts, like you were just showing, Tony, of the cover of your magazine of the guy in Australia. The details on both HO and N scale, and even across like even O scale, something that we don't dabble in, but a lot of like the O scale manufacturers are putting in great work into their stuff as well. It's awesome to see, because what better way to enjoy the hobby than knowing that you have a model that almost is an exact replica of the prototype, whichever prototype you're modeling. A lot of really unique stuff coming out all across the board.
And Tony, I mean, we could be up all night going over all these Broadway Limited announcements, but these are very interesting. You came out with a bunch of different paint schemes, all different time announcements, a little unique every time. But the Southern Pacific T1a Berkshires, and something new tool.
Well, both Santa Fe and SP for Western roads, because these Berks, I always think a nickel plate, or is it Boston and Maine? I mean, and you're doing some of those, but these I thought were interesting to see SP and Santa Fe versions.
Yeah, and for people who aren't familiar with the Berks, they were originally with Boston and Maine. Boston and Maine had some issues with them, and then during World War II, both Santa Fe and Southern Pacific needed more locomotives to help with the war effort. So Boston and Maine helped selling them to the Western railroads. And I want people to know that even though it is the Boston and Maine locomotive, both the Santa Fe and Southern Pacific made their own changes in terms of details to the locomotives when they got them. So it's not just that you're getting a Boston and Maine engine in Santa Fe or Southern Pacific paint scheme. We have, the reason why we do it as a separate project is because the SP ones are going to have SP details, not just the paint scheme and the font and all that stuff. The sounds will be prototypical for the SP ones and the Santa Fe ones. The design on the front of the locomotive with the feed water heater on the front, those will be prototypical to both Santa Fe and Southern Pacific, as if they were first received by the Boston and Maine Railroad. So it's not just a reskin, so to speak. It's literally a new locomotive with new details. Even though it's the same type, it's got its road specific details and variations that modelers are going to like, especially if they model late 1940s or mid 1940s for that matter too. And both Santa Fe, Southern Pacific, or Boston and Maine.
I love it when a model like this comes out, that because then you don't think SP or Santa Fe with these, and then suddenly you start diving, or at least I do, you start diving into the history on these. Like I've been digging out books and reference stuff on SP and Santa Fe steam. Like, really? How did I miss this? How did I not know this? Like I knew the clinch field, like Challengers went to the Rio Grande, that some of that happened, but like, okay, wow, I missed this. So this is part of that fun, I think, of the hobby, when something gets announced that you're not as familiar with, or you're not, again, you think of this like, oh yeah, no, I don't think SP had those. Like, yeah, they did. And so did Santa Fe. And here's why, and here's how. It's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Well, now I need one.
Yeah. And they were all across the system,
hard to
I believe.
stump Tony.
And these have what the Go Pack is in those. There'll be Paragon 4 on these steam locomotives that are coming out. And is it, I'm trying to remember it. Now, this is not brass. This is a diecast, right? It's just
these
regular,
are diecast.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah. And then those are the paint schemes of the diecast SD70 Aces that we were talking about earlier. Lots of different ones, like the KCS one, the two Montana Rail Link ones. There's the Heritage ones that we're offering, and of course the regular UP one. And then we got the Northwestern, we got the Southern Pacific, and the Rio Grande. And then if you are into wanting to paint your own, you got undecorated. And both the undecorated one have the higher mounted headlight right next to between the number boards, or the lower one, which is mounted on the nose and the front of them. So you can pick and choose which undecorated one that you would prefer. Do
you know how the undecorated is going to come? Will it be given a finish or a color, or
it'll be unpainted? The details will still be there, but I'm not sure exactly of the color, so to speak. I'm not sure if it's going to be put like with a primer. We haven't gotten that far into the details on that yet, but I know that they will be more clean looking than you would think of just metal for that sake.
Boy, the special paints in these. And when you think of the work that goes into the masking and all that stuff, I mean, look at these, Ken, those 2 Montana rail links alone, I would think would be okay. Well, if they're doing those 2, everything else is going to be like pretty vanilla in the run. But then you scroll down and there's all the heritage paints for the UP. There's the KCS veterans paint. There's Norfolk Southern heritage paints, the George Bush. I mean, wow. I mean, it's a stellar run of, again, the 70 Ace is such a cool locomotive, but this first run was just all-star stuff the whole way.
Yeah, and if you don't see a paint scheme that you want in this first run, it's most likely going to be in the next run. I know a lot of people were asking, what about the Katy Heritage unit? What about this Heritage unit? Trust me, we can only do so much in first run. So if we don't have it in the first run, it's most likely going to come in future runs. But yeah, those are just a great wide variety of locomotives and paint schemes to come in that die-cast metal.
That's awesome.
What's your price on these, Ken? Because we were talking about the price on these die-cast units. I know you've got an exclusive, but that's something because again, I think people are looking at these and thinking, you know, all these are going to be expensive. And I think it's surprising when you see what they are.
Yeah, I think they're in the 300 range, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to misspeak, so just hang tight. Yeah,
$359. Wow.
$359.99.
Which, I mean,
quite honestly, it's
that's
just
amazing.
Yeah, it's only a couple of bucks more than a plastic model.
And DCC and smoke. And when you think of the features,
smoke.
and
the smoke unit itself is a huge difference.
When you think of what that would be to put in, I mean, again, it's like I say, the special one that you were hiding from me that you're doing, the TrainWorld exclusive that I'm going to have to order the minute we get off.
You want to give other people a chance, Tony.
I'm not even going to be able to take the dog always needs a break when I get through with one of these shows to go outside. Now I usually go fix my supper, but I can't do anything until I get this one ordered, your exclusive one. I saw that price. I'm like, wait, $359. Is that right? Is it really just $359? Yeah. But yeah, that's very cool. Wow.
Yeah, and then the stealth ones you can see there are $279, and that doesn't have the sound or the smoke unit or anything like that. So that'll be another version, a variant, if you will. To get your hands on if you're interested in doing a little short, easy DIY with adding your own aftermarket decoder, whichever you prefer.
Very cool. I'm really excited to see those.
Yeah, we're excited to see how people react to them. Like I was mentioning earlier, just the pulling power, I think, is going to be really cool to see. I think it's going to be something that might be, how do I word this? It might be a little bit game change. I guess game changer is what I'm trying to go for. I know it's a little innovative, what we were talking about earlier, but I think if people get their hands on these and they see the pulling power and they see what we talk about with all the features and they feel the weight of it and they know that they're going to have a great model on their hands, I think that it's going to be awesome. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in talking about, or not only just talking about it to their friends and their colleagues or whoever else they're interested in the hobby with. But I think they're also going to be interested in getting their hands on one and seeing the pulling power, testing it for their own thing. Cause I know there's a lot of serious modelers that like to make sure their cars are properly weighed. I'm a member of the Orlando Society of Model Railroaders down here in Florida. And I had a friend in the club who put 3 locomotives on the front of a freight train, and he was testing how many cars it could pull. He put 105 cars, and 2 of those engines were Aces. So we think, I'm not saying we're going to be having a 105 car train pulling with 1 Ace of ours, but maybe it's possible. Who knows?
Very cool. And now on this DCC ready stuff, and even engines with sound, I heard some rumblings, and if you can't talk about it, that's fine. And Tony, I'm not sure if you know which direction I'm going in, but ESU may be making something that could work with your engines.
Yeah. So from what I understand, they came up with a board or a plug that can help with plugging in their decoders into the locomotive. I didn't read fully into it because I don't know if the smoke unit would work with it or not. But nonetheless, they have their own line of decoders that could work with it. And I think they used a consolidation, if I'm remembering what I saw correctly. But I think personally, it's great because it gives people an option of, especially with the stealth line. I think that's just perfect for the stealth line, given everything that ESU does with their sounds and their decoders and everything, especially with steam engines. I know that there's a lot of steam engines that we make that some people have sounds for, some people don't have sounds for, but for ESU to go ahead and do that. And a lot of people don't know that you can customize your own sounds on ESU, which is a cool feature. I think it's great for the stealth line because they could get a stealth model at a little bit of a cheaper price, but make their own sounds that they want. A lot of people, especially my age, when they play these train simulators, they like to customize the sounds and, do different things. It's essentially the same thing, just in a model form. And it gives people the opportunity to do that. I think it's cool personally. And I think it's something that a lot of people would love to get for their stealth models, to go ahead and get more of those stealth models and go ahead and add in what they want. I think in the end, we're all modelers to some degree. So I think it just adds another element that's really cool. I know personally, I would still prefer our Paragon 4 steam sounds. I know the efforts that Joe Goddard goes through and putting all those sounds together. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a friend of Joe's. I'm just saying that I know the sounds are really, really cool. The K2 Mikados, we work with the C&O Railroad Historical Society, and they actually provided us a CD of some K2 Mikado sounds. And Joe is an audio wizard. And these sounds are from like 1950 or 1947.
Wow.
And he mastered it and re-cleaned it up. And you have the sound set that you have on the K2 Mikados today. They're just awesome. So I think that while I love the progress that the hobby is making, I think our sounds in some aspects of our steam locomotives are still far superior compared to what else is out there. But I think it's, like I said, I think it's still great that people are making these efforts to go through that.
It's a whole part of I think for a lot of folks, these younger guys, like, not like Ken Jr. here, I'm talking the really young guys in the hobby, like you, Curtis. That's all part of it, is playing with the electronic side and that, like my assistant editor, that's one of the things he says that's intrigues him the most, is dealing with all the DCC stuff, working and tweaking with the sound to say, hey, I got this doing this or that. And it's kind of beyond, it's like, okay, yeah, that's really cool. I mean, what is it? I press 1 for the horn or something. But yeah, a lot of them, that's the whole shooting match. Just as we used to custom paint or decal or do all that stuff, electronics has become a whole angle that a lot of folks dive into and love doing. So it's awesome to have the different options.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that it's for some people who are just starting to get into the hobby, maybe they're not able to, afford a Paragon 4 engine. But like I was saying earlier, this goes perfect for a stealth. It's a cheaper alternative, and it gives people something to work on and learn more about the inner works of how a model train is put together and what each wire does and, all that sort of stuff. It's also a learning experience for, I think, a lot of people too. And I think that's a good thing, because the more you can teach people in this hobby about what the ins and outs of their models are, the better. And I think when you see the end result of what people are able to create with it, I think it's just awesome, because like we were saying earlier, it is a hobby. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited for that. I still think that a lot of our sounds, Paragon 4 steamer sounds, are great. And I know, like, for example, the GS4, I'm going to be getting maybe 2 of those. I haven't decided yet. But I know for sure I'm going to be able to enjoy the Paragon 4 sounds. But I think it just adding more options for people isn't a bad thing. You know what I mean? I think it just gives people, the alternative to do whatever they prefer.
Well, Curtis, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you better get your pre-order in for the
I know. I was just saying earlier, gotta get before the order deadline. And here I am not doing what my own advice is saying.
That's right.
If you run into trouble, Curtis, I know a guy in New York that I might be able to call in. So every once in a while be like, "Oh, Ken, you got to help me with this. I don't know how, but I missed this." So,
I don't know. It's getting tight. Today I've called my reliable sources, and then they're already sold out. So it's pedal to the metal now, Curtis.
Yeah, it really is.
Very cool. But this was great. We didn't even cover all of the new announcements that they have been announcing in the past 6 months, Tony.
Well, and there's a lot of new stuff. I want to talk about and I know we got to roll and keep going here, but that whole new group of N-scale F units.
Yeah.
And I think you've got those in stock now, don't you, Ken? Some of the paint schemes
paint schemes,
yeah, and paint schemes that sells models. And because that F unit is not brand new tooling this time for sure, but I've had more people asking. I think that Missouri Pacific, and is there a Frisco in
Bloody Nose and Black Widow, a Blue Bonnet? We've got a lot of different paint schemes. Rock Island, Chicago Northwestern. Just a wide variety of stuff that N-scalers love. And I know that a lot of people will look at it too as just another F unit. But ultimately, like when you offer more paint schemes and you get it, I think everybody who has a model railroad loves an F unit. They are still around in museums. Actually, I think one of the ones that we offered was the ex-Norfolk Southern units that are now part of, I think it's the Reading and Northern out in Pennsylvania. That run with the steam engine and stuff out there. Those ones, the Reading and Blue Mountain one, right above there in the middle, can go up one. Yeah, those ones. Those are the ex-Norfolk Southern ones that Norfolk Southern sold to them, and they still have. We can't get the ditch lights on the shell so we painted them on, but it's a prototypical thing that people like to have, and it's just something so cool because everybody likes those covered wagons, whether they be E units, F
classics,
units. They're classic. It represents the golden age of railroading, and just so many different variations that people can do. And again, those are in stealth. We sold out of stealth really quick. I don't know if you guys sold out of a lot, Ken, but I know we individually sold out of a lot of stealth ones really fast. And those ones, again, have speakers in them. The stealth ones do. So you can go ahead and add whichever ones you want. But those N-scale F units are absolutely gorgeous. And it's a preview of what's to come for our HO ones yet, because our HO ones, even though we've announced those will be in production soon too, and will be in stores hopefully later on this year, early next year.
Yeah, the paintwork on those is just beautiful. I think I've got a shot there, if I did it right, to share the screen, Ken, of that black Frisco. And again, the road names sell models for sure. And this early Mopac in the blue and gray and that Frisco scheme, you don't see those done all that. And I'm amazed. They look so nice. I mean, the paintwork on these is just top notch. Those are really
and I don't know
pretty.
if you guys know Ken Patterson. He shot those, the outdoor photography. He did a great job. Those paint schemes, we got a lot of comments saying, thank you for representing Middle America. I think it was one of the wording from people, because a lot of those road names get forgotten about. I think we also had a T&P, a Texas and Pacific version of those as well. Same Missouri Pacific paint scheme, but just with the Texas and Pacific lettering. But same thing, a lot of those paint schemes get forgotten about. And so when you bring it back, it's just such a great reminder of what used to be around when you had not only just, 10 class 1 railroads, you had, 20 or whatever it was back in the day. So it's so cool to kind of bring those models back to life and bring those memories for people who remember seeing those F units in service for so long back to life as well. Those are again, awesome F units.
We don't see enough of those. It's nice. Your runs, you've got so many road names, that tricolor Wabash. I mean, some of the paint schemes you've done, and a lot of those are coming in HO as well. It's nice to see on something as common as an F unit. Like, well, what would get your attention? It's like, well, look at that. Isn't that cool? Like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that. Yeah. So that is nice.
Very neat. Yeah. So a lot of different stuff coming along, and it keeps on rolling, Curtis. And quite honestly, I'm very impressed with you.
Oh, thank you.
Ken's got some big shoes to fill, but you're doing a great job, and I think Ken will be very proud. It's
thank you. I really appreciate that. Ken's been so fun to work with. As before I worked at Broadway, I was a customer of Broadway's, and I remember meeting Ken for the first time at Train Fest in like maybe 2010 or 2011. and looking at him like, oh my God, it's like I was walking up to my favorite baseball player or something growing up. And now I work with the guy, and it's pretty cool to be working with him and get his perspective on things, and being able to step in when he's out being Fred Flintstone at Disney World. I'm here talking to you guys on a live stream, so I'm able to.
Curtis, you got to get a picture for me. If he shares a picture of Fred Flintstone, I got to see Ken Silvestri as Fred.
I think he's going tomorrow, and my girlfriend and I are actually going tomorrow too. We're not dressing up, so I don't have a costume to show you guys. But if I find Ken, I will get a picture and I will share it with you guys.
I want to see that. But yeah, you know, and Curtis has done a fantastic job. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, all of this to follow Broadway Limited. You can check out. It's been a handful of months ago, but I did a podcast with Ray Arnott on his Around the Layout podcast, and had Curtis as one of the first guests, where I do new releases and then talk to somebody from the industry. So we got the whole backstory on, was it WGN radio in Chicago?
That was my previous job. Yeah. I was a radio guy before moving down here to Florida to do that. And it was a lot of fun. I got to cover a lot of different aspects of stories, but I also helped out in the sports department. So part of my favorite thing was, I'm a big Chicago sports fan, so I got to go into the Blackhawks locker room. I got to go in the White Sox locker room. I got to do a lot of different really fun things and cover some great stories. And so that was my previous job, but what better way to get into a career that you have a hobby in? And so making the jump, moving down here to Florida, my girlfriend Annika has been amazing and making that move and coming down here. And I guess her benefit is I get to drive her to Disney World, you know, every so often. But but nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun. It's hard to believe I've only been here for almost 7 months. I started in March here at Broadway and been popping on every once in a while on different shows like this one. And so it's awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I love talking to customers too. I get emails from customers all the time asking me about stuff. So yes, follow us on our social media platforms. We're very active on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff is where we're at.
No wonder why he's so smooth, Tony.
Yeah.
He's a broadcaster.
He's got the radio thing.
That's it.
When I first talked to him and he said that, I'm like, I said, yeah, I did radio way back in the 80s. I said, so yeah, all this podcasting and stuff now is like, I never thought I'd use that again. And it's like, that comes in handy.
Adobe Audition has never come in so much more clutch than before.
Now the real question is, are you familiar with the ham radios?
Yes, actually. You know what's funny is that my friends and I used to go on a camping trip every year, and my buddy's dad had a ham radio, and he would set it up when we would go camping, and you'd get the truckers on their frequencies and everything else like that. Yeah, so I am familiar with ham radios for sure.
All right.
Very cool. Very cool. Lots of amazing info tonight on models, and you've sold. I've got to buy one of Ken's SD70 Aces now once we get done here that I somehow missed. So awesome stuff, Curtis, and good to get. And I don't think you asked the big question though, Ken Jr. Before we go, you know what the first thing I asked him? How do you pronounce his last name?
I didn't want to botch it up or Koch it up.
Yeah,
and that would no.
It's Koch, like
Coke.
The drink,
really,
yeah. Or like Koch brothers. Some people are familiar with Koch brothers, but
yeah.
It's funny.
Not related to them.
Same thing introducing him. I was like, I'm not going to pronounce the last name.
And I've seen that, and I've had people try to tell me, oh, that's like it's Cook, same as your name. And I'm like, oh, it's like, I can see how it would be. And then, Koch, I've heard of, but yeah. And he said, no, Coke. I'm like, there you go. So
every once in a while, I'll get a package in the mail from somebody, and my last name will be spelled Kotch, Koch. A silent T in there, but no, Koch, Coke, like the drink.
Coke. All right.
Wow, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right.
Well, Curtis, you've been a pleasure having on, and Broadway Limited really found a gem in you, and we're lucky. The whole industry is lucky that you're aboard Broadway now, and Ken has done a great job. I guess I don't even think he needed to train you with your experience in radio. And Tony, now you got another resource in your back pocket to give a call to, and so that's neat. And you can check out some great articles that Tony Cook, Model Railroad News, Model Train Resource, and even probably HO Collector sometimes to throw in a Broadway curveball in there. So check them out for sure. And Curtis has done a great job with all these new announcements, new releases, new arrivals, all these great Broadway limited trains products. Also telling us about the details on these SD70s that Tony was curious about, and I'm sure soon to come on some more information on that, Tony.
That's one of the great things too with Curtis doing all the social media. We get to see all these pictures now. He'll get this stuff and he'll send me an email saying, hey, we just got this in. And then I see he's posted it on Facebook. He's got it out everywhere. I love that. I love getting these the pictures we saw tonight, a lot of them were the sneak previews of things that he'll shoot pictures of. So yeah, keep following him on Facebook. I repost the stuff and share it when I see it. So yeah, we always want to get a peek at what's behind the curtain and coming. So it's nice that Curtis shares that stuff on social media. So awesome.
Very cool. Well, both Curtis, Tony, thank you both so much for joining us tonight and coming on the show. This has been excellent, and a lot of people are very informative session tonight. So that was great. But if you are thinking about pre-ordering any Broadway limited item, make sure you get your order in, or even the new arrivals. There's just so much product right now and announcements, lots of good stuff. Make sure you pick up a copy of Model Railroad News, and make sure you get your order in at TrainWorld.com. Thank you everyone so much. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Hoping to come back at some point. That'd be a blast.
Curtis. Take care, everyone.